Bro, what the f? Star Citizen is not a full game, but I wouldn't blame you for thinking it is.
Everything on that mauler! Burn it! Fire! Don't stop! Keep firing!
While the alpha tag is present, the marketing, communication, and timeline might have you thinking otherwise. But it's still just a conglomerate of tech in need of many fixes, features, content additions, and direction. So it's no surprise when new players who joined since 2025, thinking the game would keep improving in all ways, are now taking a break as things break down and the company starts destabilizing things with some new features. But why are the old backers also frustrated with the game? Star Citizen has a problem in that it might be simultaneously burning two pretty different kinds of Star Citizen fans. And while it's not irreversible, it unfortunately depends on the ever-reliable Squadron 42 following one of three possible release paths. So let's take a look at how Star Citizen is starting to burn both of its core audiences. Thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. Before server meshing arrived in Star Citizen, the focus of the team was to keep adding placeholder features into the tech demo that was 3.0. This quickly grew into a sorta space playground with half-finished professions and systems that were built to work for 25 to 50 player servers. The only real progression in game was making money to buy ships. Mission givers were broken, salvage gameplay hadn't arrived, and the existing professions had little to no reputation or rewards. The idea of unlocking permanent armor and weapons in your account through completing events was not the norm, or even a rarity. There were no dungeons, no distribution centers, barely any outposts, very few set pieces, no stories, no fauna, very little cosmetics, only one star system, and every instance was limited to less than 75 players. It was truly a tech demo. For much of that time, players even got to see a full 4 quarters of feature development expectations. Not just through the regularly updated roadmap, but also the progress tracker and the weekly Inside Star Citizen episodes that contained sprint reports and insights into future work. It became routine, comfortable, and it trained early backers on what to expect in the project. Now, most of this was inaccurate. The progress tracker was basically useless, but it gave us an idea of what was being worked on or supposed to be worked on at some point. It also led to many arguments and disagreements, but it truly built a culture of a project in progress with the players following along. Yeah, the focus was on building the engine in Squadron 42. This single barren star system was just the place to keep the players funding the stuff busy, but it felt cooperative, and even in its struggles and misfires, consistent. Funny enough, during this time, you would see regular calls from across the community to stop adding new features. Oh, the regret. In early 2025, CIG launched Star Citizen 4.0, with the long-awaited server meshing infrastructure powering it. Immediately, the server cap grew to over 500 players, another star system was added, and half of what worked before the restructure stopped working. It was kind of a mess. As was expected, CIG took this milestone to slow down the feature development and focus on building a foundation for the game ahead. Content and some levels of stability and performance were the focus of 2025. Their success on that is up for debate, which I know we're going to see in the comments, but what happened next was a surprise. CIG went all in on live service territory, monthly ship sales with unique sales packages relying on FOMO, more mainstream marketing techniques like Twitch drops, regular gameplay-focused events with permanent unlocks as rewards, more polished community competitions, and the trailers. Oh, the trailers. They were kicking off storylines. Introducing new significant characters,
Specimen holds answers far beyond their comprehension.
Creating very real reasons for players to return to the verse every single month to follow along and to not miss out on what's coming next. This wasn't bad. It was actually incredibly healthy for the game. Funding skyrocketed, players were enjoying the game more, and while things still struggled, some of the temporary fixes caused some pain, it was possible for new players to finally get a foothold in Star Citizen. To many, it felt like after server meshing, CIG was finally putting the foundations of a game together, dare I say even trying to run a game environment. But it was never meant to last, and players didn't want it to. By mid-year, calls to add better functionality to the existing gameplay like social features, interactions, and night vision were frequent. 2026 came around and the features returned. Engineering, LAMP, the Ironclad command module, refueling, instancing. Features were returning to development, but not with enough of the extra testing players were told they'd go through. Not with increased polish or integration, and not universally across the game. Rather than an evolution on the strategy CIG had been using, it felt like CIG had gone right back to 3.x development. This is their problem. There is a mismatch between the expectations that CIG has been setting over the last 2 years and the reality of what's landing right now. This is what we covered at the beginning of the summer. Their problem isn't the bugs, it's the communication. As we get back to feature releases, pre-4.0 players expect 1.0 features that come in more polished with server meshing finally in place, but they haven't yet been seeing that. And the post-4.0 players are still expecting the story and activity-heavy, well-performing live service game that gets shown in the trailers and advertised across social media. After talking about this with 10#42, I ran a poll over on Space Tomato 2, and it looks like the majority of you haven't even played Star Citizen in well over a month. If the goal of CIG is to keep players engaged, excited, and spending, and the tech preview strategy is not doing the job, then what is CIG supposed to do? Something to be clear about here, what I'm describing is not true for everybody. Plenty of you are just enjoying yourselves every day, or you haven't even been paying close enough attention to think about all this. But even all the other choices combined in that poll were still the minority in the poll. The fact is, from our perspective, there's really not an easy way out for CIG. Star Citizen 1.0 can't continue to be a distant promise if the company wants to succeed. They need a proper functioning game to bring in more players. That requires things like social tools, player trading, and a dynamic economy. But other features are extremely dated and could really do with a proper implementation, not another half-finished version. Looking at you, StarMap. There are just so many incredibly annoying bugs that don't take much time, but over the course of a year probably rob me of a good nap or two. In addition to that, CIG recognizes that they have a serious need for a better onboarding experience. It was acknowledged in their shift to bug fixing announcement in July, and it has proven out in Recco Battaglia, who has proven to be the interactive tutorial for prospecting and mining in Star Citizen. The onboarding experience in the game is kinda awful, and it loses them a lot of free flyers, I think. Even with the Tech Preview channel, a rarely used test server used for upcoming features, this has not worked for them very well so far. But there are some very obvious ways they could satisfy and bring back a large part of both these audiences in the short term. Communication, as has always been the biggest pain point in this project, is also their best tool. Those players I mentioned who are used to the old shows, those pull more weight than I think CIG realizes. Even if they are just dev builds, visuals go so much further than words on a page or even in a talk show. Players are constantly left wondering what happened to the small mentions of hacking here or the brief looks at asteroid gates there. What's going on with the social tools meant to be delivered in 2026?
So we're working on this right now, actively.
For a 2026 release?
Yes.
And by players, I mean me. I think more Star Citizen Lives or even a quick Calling All Devs episode would do great. Curate the questions to your heart's content, just let the players hear from the devs. Postmortems on the major updates should return, even if only a few paragraphs long. Sure, that's just more communication, but just saying you're going to fix bugs and then marking them fixed only goes so far. Reporting back on the realities of these things after they've landed in players' hands gives everybody a chance to understand the positive work that you guys have done and the misses. The bug fixes have to continue being prioritized as well. We've seen a bit of a shift in the monthly reports and the messaging on the roadmap roundup, as well as the Star Citizen Live with Benoit and Jens. All of these changes show that they're starting to turn towards bug fixing and stability as a long-term permanent part of the development as opposed to just a period of time. But it's a slow process, and it hasn't proven out yet. CIG is going to have to stick with it long term to get player trust and goodwill back. This inevitably means slowing down new features again, something we just got done with after 2025. That will slow down the delivery of the game and extend the costs of the studio. That's going to be a whole nother talk, but it feels like an impossible choice to make. That being said, I do feel this way those interested in progress and feature additions are still seeing some delivery, but communication and more information, and the chance to be in an occasional tech preview, while the everyday players can get a somewhat stable environment to play in. But that sounds a little too conclusive, right? Too easy. And that's where Squadron 42 comes back in. Slow down and deliver less features while fixing the game only works if CIG can generate enough money to pay the devs needed to do that. Ship sales are great, but they'll only go so far if people don't see a game being made. While they are doing great at succeeding year over year at the moment, we're still not sure how they're doing at matching expenditures. We've covered this multiple times on the channel and on my podcast this year. Their financial situation is risky, with a large and expensive team, consistently increasing server costs, and the slaughtering of gamers in the dark DDR memory pits of hell shrinking their potential user base. If they avoid their investors exercising their put option before September 30th of this year, good job. But that put option goes exercisable again in a few more years, and CIG is going to want a successful Squadron 42 to point back to as proof, and to give Star Citizen a bit more to run on over the next couple years. How much? Well, CIG stopped all sales of Squadron 42 2 years ago now, well before they started marketing it again after their 10 years mostly quiet. Every day new PC gamers are also joining the fields, though at slower paces now. There is some opportunity here, but I think they need to shoot for at least 3 million sales in the first year, which is a lot. That would put it above the launch of the first Kingdom Come Deliverance, and that was multi-platform. Unless CIG has a surprise console release planned, it's going to be hard to hit those numbers. But the game doesn't have to make the development costs back. It needs to fund Star Citizen. No, not Squadron 42 Chapter 2. Star Citizen to fruition. It'll probably supply another year or so of funding, and most importantly, it'll solidify CIG's reputation and the belief that they can get Star Citizen done. But this is a thin needle to thread. Of those 3 possible release paths I said they need to hit back in the beginning of this video, this is the one. Path 2 would be a stable but lackluster launch for Squadron 42, which may keep current players interested, but I think would fail to bring the necessary attention and confidence to the project after 13 years of development. Path 3 then is of course the worst case scenario, a bad launch, a laggy game, and entirely incomplete gameplay. We know the cinematics are good, the acting will be pretty solid, and the graphics still stand out even today. The tech used to make the game with open spaces, large ships, planetary transitions, and fully functioning fleet battles is all impressive, but the gameplay, the writing, and the stability could doom the game and ultimately the project. After all, why would an MMO work out when a single-player campaign that took 13 years doesn't? If CIG can't find a way to stabilize their game and communicate more clearly with the players about what's going on, it's only going to put more and more pressure on the launch of Squadron 42. And if Squadron 42 doesn't launch well, it may start making the problems we're seeing now much worse. From the messaging, Star Citizen should offer at least a vertical slice of a game experience by now. But Squadron 42 has slowed the features and the maintenance needed to provide that. As its release gets closer, it's on CIG to build back the core audiences that have started to get away from it. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something new in it, and I'll catch you in the next.